What's up, everyone? This is Super Marcel, and welcome to 2020. Damn, we've gotten into a a real decade, haven't we? Yeah, especially for me, it's been one hell of a decade for me. It's so crazy to now think that we're now going. There's now going to be two twos from the next 10 years. And at some point there's even going to be free twos, 2022. That's going to be crazy. Yeah, 2020 has now arrived. And now, of course, for tradition, we got to look through 2019. 2019 has been a real... I don't know, 2019 is crazy, It had ups and downs. A lot... Yeah, ups and downs. 2019. And I would just like to also say quickly that sorry for suddenly leaving you in the dark. The last time I released a video, which was the Kombat video, I said that I was gonna make rapid fire Jurassic World videos so that I'll be up to date and get ready to record the new DLC. But I released one video and then suddenly stopped. So yeah, just like it's just that plans quickly changed, like a day or so or something after I've made that video. I've got a call from my dad, and yeah, I had to like fly away to my home so that I could have one last goodbye to my dog. And yeah, and it was rough being there and seeing all this happen. But yeah, and to make matters, to add to the time that I've had, I could have the original plan was to go over to my home to my family, say my last goodbyes to my dog Chili, and then fly back home to my computer, and I'll wait for my parents to come over to drive to Canberra and spend Christmas with my family in Jindabyne. But it turns out my dad made a nice little deal, right? And that deal was either either use up a lot of the money to get a ticket to fly back to my home to my computer, or he could use up the money to buy something special for Christmas. And in this case, it was a new computer. I, of course, chose the computer. So I got a new computer. This isn't the. I'm not recording through the computer. I still have files on my old computer that I still want to finish before I finally start using the new, better one, right? But that's exciting. But yeah, so. The promise is back. As soon as I finish making this video, every day, right? Each day, I'm gonna pump out a new Jurassic World video. I'm not gonna pump them all at once like Kyle. I noticed how many videos you pump a day. Too many. You can't post so many videos on one day. Yeah, that's another story. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best to see if I can pump out all the Jurassic World videos that I've pre-recorded, right? Man of Medan, I have no idea if I'll come back to making videos on the Man of Medan stuff. Maybe I will. I do have all the I've completed the game and I do have the footage. I don't know if I'll be able to. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. And I also got one other video that I want to release. And yeah, so we're gonna make rapid fire uploads to Jurassic World, and then you're gonna notice a sudden quality change. So yeah, but now enough talk about the channel stuff. We're gonna talk about the highlights of the games of 2019. I reckon we got a couple good ones. We've had a couple good ones. It was nice, some of the games, some of them were a bit but I don't know. You're gonna have to find out what I think about the games that we've had last year. So yeah, without further ado, let's head over to number 5 in the top 5 games of 2019. Coming in at number 5 is Man of Medan, made by the same people who made Until Dawn, which it was a very, very brilliant horror game, where you're like the Telltale games, you pick a choice, and that choice that you make inflicts the outcome of the future of how your game will end, right? And it's actually very remarkable on how they do it, right? Unlike Telltale games, where yeah, you have choices here and there, but really secretly they kind of don't matter. The only times they really mattered was in the last season, right? I can think of. So yeah, you pick only at the last episode of the final season can I really imagine where the choices actually matter. But that's a different topic entirely, I guess. But yeah, so Man of Medan, like I said, was made by the same guys who made Until Dawn, which I unfortunately learned about the game much more later, after the year it was made. And I guarantee you, if I knew the game on the same year that it was made, that game would have been on the top 5 list, because Until Dawn was a great game. So when I heard that they were making another game similar to Until Dawn, same concept, horror game, but this time they're out in the ocean with ghost ships and stuff. You know, it was, I was excited, it was cool, right? And then the game came out, and of course, as you've watched, I played it. Of course, it's my playthrough has not finished yet. What I think I might do is, as soon as I release this video, I'll release like one other Man of Medan video after this, the day after this video, and then yeah, go on from there. So now let's talk about the actual game itself, right? How does it compete with Until Dawn, right? Well, Man of Medan is actually a part of the 5 games, I guess. This is the first one of 5 different shortest horror games, I guess. I've learned that the hard way, that they were gonna be a lot more significantly shorter than Until Dawn was, you know? Like, how long was Man of Medan? Like 3 hours or something, maybe a little bit more, but compared to Until Dawn, it was very short. But yeah, but in terms of the choices, Yeah, the choices definitely do matter. I was actually amazed and surprised on the amount of choices and outcomes. Like, I am always continuously like amazed about these outcomes actually, right? At first I thought like, oh, this person could die here at any moment or blah 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 blah. But I've looked at other people's playthroughs and there are completely different events that happen to different people. Like me, for example, I think you haven't seen it yet, but I think I think I had a unique scene that no one else had happened to them, mainly because I had this one guy still be alive and with this one person, right? And I've watched other people's playthroughs, right? And they've had and scenes where this person was here for on my end was a completely different person on their end, right? And anyone could die at any moments. And yeah, it was amazing the hundreds of different outcomes that I can imagine happen on each and every scene. It's amazing that it could happen. But with that being said, Man of Medan does still have some problems, right? So the Man of Medan is supposed to be a horror game. I personally find it more like a thriller than a horror. It doesn't feel quite as horrific as Until Dawn. Now, what people love about Until Dawn is that it's not just the choices that you've made, but they're rather unique twists that they made in Until Dawn, you know? Like, everyone thought there was a serial killer, but secretly it was actually this guy pretending to be a serial killer and then putting it all up. But then there's a twist, and turns out that there actually is a monster there the whole time and it is killing people. It was great. It was great twists, right? What does Man of Medan have to offer? Well, spoilers if you don't want to know it yet. But, the twist for Man of Medan was that this whole time there was like some gas making everyone hallucinate, right? Which on its own kind of is like a unique twist, but the problem with that is that as soon as you learn that all the monsters that you've been seeing were actually hallucinations all this time, you suddenly don't feel in danger anymore, because now you just have to go like, oh wait, you're a monster, oh, I'm just not gonna do anything because, you know, you're a hallucination. You know, like as soon as you learn that that everyone's a hallucination, the horror is just gone, and really the only real monster or horror thing that you have to be afraid of are the pirates, right? Which would have been fine if they just had, like, you know, it was missing something. You know, I feel like it's missing that double twist. You know, like, what they probably could have done is that, yeah, you're hallucinating, it's a bunch of this stuff isn't real, but there actually is a monster producing the hallucinations. You still need to watch out for that one. And I reckon that could have been a perfect chance to use the two-headed monster, right? You know, the two-headed monster was a unique and cool design of a monster, and it just sucks to know that that monster is only a hallucination to Alex, right? And it makes me even wonder now, like, the skeleton that Alex saw in the coffin, was that even there? Like, was there actually a skeleton with two heads, or was Alex seeing that? Was someone else seeing something else completely different? It's confusing, right? But and another thing about poor Man of Medan was that, as I've unfortunately seen through other people's playthroughs, is that sometimes it feels like the developers kind of weren't even trying, no? Like, it's like as if the developers were fixated on this one possible path, and then when they were making all the other possible paths of whether this person's alive or not, they suddenly realized in the last second, and then put in these random scenes here and there. Like, let's take Brad for example, right? If Brad dies early on in the game, right, everyone kind of forgets about Brad. But then suddenly, like near the end, suddenly out of nowhere, Alex suddenly finds Brad's dead body. He goes like, no, no, and you just okay. First of all, why are you there, and how did you find it? And then immediately the next scene, Alex would just be sitting there just with the group, right? And sometimes there'll be, if there are like even less people alive, like one or two, and someone's doing an animation where there's supposed to be a person there, but like instead there's no one there, so now there's this floating cup, or they're hugging nothing, right? And yeah, they didn't work on it enough. Like I liked Man of Medan, really I do, but they really needed to work on their game a little bit longer and think about these outcomes more, because yeah, when you have someone suddenly randomly finding their dead body, and then immediately the next scene they're like, hey, we escaped, that's just not realistic, you know. It's yeah. Well, but I did like Man of Medan. The characters weren't as exciting as the old Until Dawn cast. No, the characters just felt meh. Except for Conrad. I liked Conrad. He was a funny, witty dude. Well, not witty, but yeah. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say for Man of Medan. I wish they worked on it more. That's why it's on number 5. But I still liked the game nonetheless. I wasn't impressed by some of the horror that they did, you know. And I was very impressed on the amount of almost infinite feeling possibilities that could happen to you. You know, it was a unique experience. So yeah, that's all I have to say for Man of Medan. So now that we got that sorted out, let us move into number 4. Coming in at number 4 is Subnautica Sub-Zero, and yes, I do know that it's technically still in beta and they're still working on it, but whatever, you can play it, there's a lot of stuff in it, I'm counting that, right? Whatever. But yeah, and I know, for people who know me, who know I have thalassophobia, they're going like, what? Why is this here? But yeah, of course I'm still deathly afraid of the game, right? I mean, it's a game where you go into the ocean, there's scary big giant ocean monsters. So of course I'm gonna get scared of that game, right? And there's parts of the ocean where you clearly can't see the bottom, and that's also terrifying, right? And there's even parts where you go underground. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking, but yeah, right. But yeah, Subnautica Sub-Zero was a nice, neat game expansion to the original Subnautica. You know, I already did like the original Subnautica. Of course, again, I was still afraid. Before you asked, no, I didn't actually play it. I watched people play it, right? And I liked the game, right? But what I guess the main reason the main thing that people like Subnautica so much is exploration and the use of fear, the use of horror without making it like over the top, you know? Like, it's a unique horror sort of Subnautica, you know? The mysterious of the unknown ocean. And then suddenly when you least expect it, like, rah, giant sea monster, rah, you know? It's a very special kind of sort of horror game, you know, because it does put you on the seat of when the next possible moment that a giant sea emperor could attack you. But yeah, but I always did like the designs of the animals in Subnautica, you know? Like Subnautica is another reason why people love Subnautica so much is the exploration and the discovery of all these biomes, these plants, these alien life forms. It's very pretty. It is a rather special experience to go and discover these strangely fascinating animals, but at the same time scary, you know? And yeah, they do manage to blend the animals well with making it like seem like real animals, while at the same time still keeping that little scare factor, you know, like boo, sea monster, blah. But yeah, it is a special game, and the use of I do like that out of all the things they could have picked to make a second game for the Subnautica game, it's the use of using the Arctic, and I think they hit well with choosing an Arctic biome as their next topic for the game, because you can use a lot of unique ideas. You know, how could these alien fish monsters look in the Arctic? You know, and it that they could actually live there. And they also took a bold move and actually did make land animals, which was unique, you know, the snow stalker and stuff. And yeah. So I think I accidentally hit the spacebar and started another recording. Yeah, whatever. Well, I'll hear what it sounds like. But and they're also expanding the game in terms of story, so there'll be more characters. I mean, the game already has some voiceovers of the sisters, you know, which could be an interesting dynamic to see how these two work together. You know, one's a xenologist who just likes to be there, and the other sister is like serious, like get it together, stop messing around. But yeah, Subnautica, I liked Subnautica. It was a nice game to look at. Sub-Zero. So yeah, I think there's nothing really else for me to say for Sub-Zero. So I'm just gonna stop wasting time, and we're just gonna move over to number 3. Coming in at number 3 is Resident Evil 2. So, I would just like to say quickly, what I'm about to say, these opinions of my game is gonna come from someone who's never played the previous Resident Evil games, right? I remember 5 and 6 got released during my time, and I just remember just thinking them as just, you know, generic action game with zombie mutations and grotesque like transformations, right? And yeah, I guess that's why people didn't like 7, because it was just an action game. No, not 7, 6, yeah. But then 7, the actual good one, came out, and if you've seen one of my previous top 5 games from the previous years, you would have known that Resident Evil 7 is on one of those lists. And yeah, I liked Resident Evil 7. It was a unique horror experience. It was genuinely frightening, Resident Evil 7, and because thanks to Resident Evil 7, I got a little bit slightly interested into the rest of the Resident Evil franchise, I guess. So and so the remake of Resident Evil 2 came out. So I've never played the previous Resident Evil games, so I have no idea what the original Resident Evil 2 is like. So, with that being said, I like this game, right? It's a nice horror game, you know? The monsters are cool, the tensions are high, it feels like an actual horror game rather than just, you know, Zombie, boom, 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 yeah. You know, that's mainly because of one thing. The ammo is scarce. You have to preserve and think about your ammo and when is a possible actual good time to use it, right? I really liked that they took that approach, you know. They could have easily just gone like, here's a whole bunch of ammo in everywhere, just shoot the zombie and they're already dead. But no, they've made it realistic, you know, made it like what would actually be like in a zombie apocalypse. You're not gonna have unlimited ammo. There's gonna be a point where you're gonna run out, and you gotta have to, like, you know, keep in mind on how much you have, because if you run out and you're in a tough situation, then ooh, you better have a plan B. Yeah. Let's talk about the characters. Claire and Leon. I liked both of them. I liked Claire and Leon. They both of them are both unique characters that are completely different from one another. You know, I like how they could have just make the whole play the whole game out, and the only difference is that you're a different person. But no, whether or not you choose Claire or Leon, the story itself is completely different. You know, Leon has to deal with this chick trying to find this doctor that supposedly is a part of the whole virus, while Claire is trying to take care of this little kid during the middle of this whole zombie apocalypse. I do like how completely and utterly different that both of them are, and it makes a good reason to replay the whole game again to see what you have missed. You know, it's nice. I like the replay factor that they added to this game with the two different characters, right? I liked the monsters, especially the lickers. The lickers were freaky, but I like how you actually kind of like encounter the lickers fairly early in the game. Not like instantly early. That would be too unfair, right? But when you first meet the lickers, if I remember correctly, you only have a pistol. You could try to attack them, but you're probably not gonna win, right? Until you at least get like the shotgun, is only when it's good to actually fight them. You know, I like how they did with that with the liquor. You know, it forces you to be quiet, and it's intense, right? And now, of course, let's talk about Mr. X, the big hulking giant that is unstoppable. He was amazing. He reminds me of the Bakers. You know, that's why I loved Resident Evil 7 so much, because of the Bakers. But it's just that the one thing that the Bakers have that Mr. X has is that the Bakers actually have an interesting character dynamic around them, despite being the fact that they, you know, trying to kill you and are insane, right? But Mr. X is just like, you know, big, silent, trying to kill you. But that doesn't matter, right? I like Mr. X because of his unstoppableness, you know? Just like how Resident Evil, you can shoot the Bakers as many times as you want, but unless it's a boss fight, they're not gonna die. And I like that unstoppable, hopeless feeling that you have while fighting this guy, you know? You can't kill him, so your only choice is to run, right? I liked how they handled Mr. X, yeah. And the story is basic, but it's nice. It's all about the mini stories, you know, not the main story that effectively makes Resident Evil 2 remake good. You know, Leon trying to, like, being this new recruit and is trying to, you know, save the city as this rookie almost, you know. While Claire has a nice effective story of being sort of an adoptive mother to this random girl, who also just so happens to be related to the mother and father who started all this. Yeah. So yeah, Resident Evil 2, it was nice. It was a nice experience. Would I prefer this over Resident Evil 7? Personally, I like Resident Evil 7 more, because, you know, it's even more hopelessness, you know, from the monsters and stuff, and the first person. I don't know, it's biased. Maybe it's because I never played the other games. But yeah, that's all I have to say for Resident Evil 2. And so, with that done and sorted, let's move on to number 2.
behind the walkers. Use them as shields.
Coming in at number 2 is The Walking Dead, the final season. What a satisfying end to a season. It really does suck about the whole Telltale situation. I don't know, it's confusing. They say that Telltale is finished and that there's going to be no more Telltale games, but yet they already released a trailer of The Wolf Among Us Season 2, so I don't know what's going on. Are they going to make The Wolf Among Us? Did they learn their lesson and they're not going to make as many games at once? I don't know, but yeah, it really sucked, the whole situation. Like, just suddenly out of nowhere, Telltale just became bankrupt and they barely only made 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, and they still had another 2 episodes to release. It was a sucky situation, but thanks to good old Blue Sky and the other company that was making the Walking Dead, they helped out. It was like, hey, we got your back, fans. We're gonna make the other 2, and I'm glad they did, because man, it was a real big step up from Last Frontier. I liked Javier's story, but I didn't like Clementine's story in the Last Frontier. So Season 4 really needed to step up his game, right? And I know that Episode 1 and 2 got released in 2018, but seeing as how the game officially finished in 2019, I'm gonna count it as a 2019 game. Yeah, we'll go with that. And what can I say about this game? Well, I loved it. It was a very happy and satisfying end for Clementine, you know. I will admit, I was expecting a lot more people to be dying from the Walking Dead game, because I don't know, I'm just used to it at this point. I'm always wondering when the next person... I mean, people still died in the game, but, you know, it was otherwise for this person or whatever dying at the end, the ending of the game was actually a genuinely very happy ending to the game. It's very satisfying end, you know. Clementine has always been running and has always been like looking for a place to call home, and to see that this place has she managed to finally find a place that she can call home here at this high school with all these kids. It was a nice ending, you know. Clementine felt like Clementine now. You know, that's one of my problems from Clementine and Frontiers, that she didn't feel like Clementine. I guess it was mainly because you had a choice to how she acts, you know? But yeah, she now acted like my Clementine that I remember in Season 2. AJ was a nice kid. I do like how a lot of the choices that you make affect AJ as a person. Like, what person is AJ gonna become based on the decisions that you molded into him, you know? It was a nice experience, you know. The story absolutely was excellent. It was perfect. It was beautiful. The voice acting was great. The graphics were nice. The choices were full on, right? Like I said, the choices did matter in this game, you know, because on AJ. And the ending, your choices do actually affect what ending you get and who lives and who dies by the end of it. And yeah, it was just a genuinely nice, satisfying ending to this great franchise, you know. It's crazy to think that it all started from a convict that was going to prison. Someone just exited and entered Discord. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. But I can't really say anything else about The Walking Dead without spoiling it too much. Go play it. It's a very satisfying ending. Hell, play all of the seasons if you want to. Even Frontier, you know, because again, like I said, even though Clementine's story in Frontier wasn't great, I did like Javier's story. You know, so Telltale Games and Blue Sky, you're awesome, and thank you for making such a satisfying ending to a beautiful franchise. Yeah. So now we move on to number 1, the last one. Which game is going to be the best one? of 2019. I almost said 18. Well, let's find out. Coming in at number 1 is Planet Zoo. This one honestly was a surprise to me, right? Now, you might think at first like, oh, it's obvious, right? It's a zoo building game. Of course Marcel would like that. But honestly, when I first saw the trailers and when I saw the announcements and I knew that Planet Zoo was going to be a thing, originally I didn't really care that much about Planet Zoo, you know, because I just thought it's just going to be another zoo building game, which of course I would like, alright? I would like to watch other people play it, but it's probably not a game that I myself would love a lot, right? I remember when people were waiting for this game to come out, people were like super excited, but I just wasn't one of those people, right? I mean, I thought it was cool that we were going to have another zoo building game, right? But I wasn't like, you know. But then the actual game came out and I watched people play it and I actually saw what the capabilities of what the game could actually be like, and I was actually a little interested. It's like, hold the phone, what's going on here, you know? And so I had to look at myself and got the game myself. Had a good couple goes at building, and I have to say that Planet Zoo honestly is rather a pleasant surprise. You know, it's not exactly, I thought it was just going to be like a normal zoo building game, right, where you have all these buildings already built for you, right, just place them down, here, make a fence, blah 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 blah, put down the trees, like I was mainly thinking of Zoo Tycoon, right? But then when you look at the game, the main reason that makes this game so incredible and why it's number 1 is creativity. Not from the actual game itself, but from the endless creative possibility that you as a player could make. And all that is simply from one thing: the building tools, the terrain tools, and the workshop, right? Well, not necessarily the workshop from Steam, but like, let's say you literally can build your own buildings piece by piece, right? Detail by detail. It's actually amazing in what you could build in this game, right? And the mountain formations that you mold yourself, and like I said, the building tool, right? Say like if you were to get a rock and you want to sink the rock down, normally you'd get a rock and you have to place it somewhere, right? But by simply just pressing X and having that normal building tool that I'm used to in SFM, right, where you go up or left or right, and you can sink into the ground and basically mold these items with other items to make them look good. Like, this game literally does have an endless capability of a zoo building game. It's actually really incredible what you could potentially be able to create in this game, right? I've this game alone, like, I'm just gonna move some stuff so I have some space. Alright, this game, when I started playing this game and I was building my own zoo, I first started out with a turtle enclosure. It's just a normal basic turtle enclosure, a little river around it, and a little island filled with a bunch of turtles, and there's a rock shelter, right? But the way I've built my shelter is that I like molded rocks and trees and plants on top of it to make it look exotic, right? There were no buildings in the game that looked like it. I crafted the shelter myself, right? And then after that, I took from a simple staff to suddenly deciding, let's do something questionable, something that might not work, but we're gonna see if it works anyway. And I decided to make a tiger enclosure, but it's not just a normal tiger enclosure. What I decided to make was make a tiger enclosure where it's like a mountainous, like, bridge almost, right? And the guests can go underneath this little tunnel, and on the top of this mountainous bridge, the tiger can climb on top of it and go from one part of its enclosure to the other side, right? I thought that was stupid. There's no way I was going to be able to pull it off, but surprisingly, I managed to actually do it through some dedication of the terrain tool. Like, it's actually amazing that I could even manage to pull something like this off, right? And so I took even extra steps further. I decided to make mountainous caves for my buffaloes, and then this whole an entire mountain on its own for the with a throne at the top for the gorillas. And I keep building and building, and that's when I start to realize that this game, yeah, it's literally endless. And I've seen people play the game itself, and they've managed to build some incredible stuff, like an underground crocodile cave enclosure, or a starry wolf enclosure. The possibilities with this game are beautifully endless, and it's infinite. Like, how could you manage to get such possibilities into a zoo building game is just incredible. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Now, this game was made by the same guys who made the Jurassic World game, which of course I loved too, but that's mainly for nostalgic reasons, really. And I comparing Planet Zoo to the Jurassic World game just seems unfair now, because Jurassic World does have pre-made buildings that only you can place down, and the terrain tool is a bit iffy on Jurassic World, right? It's just Jurassic World's just another zoo building game, but this game is more than a zoo building game, Planet Zoo, right? I like this game so much that I actually demand that this game is more, that Jurassic World is more like this game, right? I demand to have more workshop freedom with my buildings and a better terrain tool. We have a terrain tool, but it's not the greatest. I don't really have any complaints with this game, right? The staff are reasonably difficult. The game, well, by staff, I don't know. The game, it's so you have to make sure you keep the zoo intact, right? You know, and it is a wee bit difficult at first when you have these amazing ideas, but you just think to yourself, how am I going to pull this off without having the animals feel like there's not enough space or food or whatever, right? And you just adapt. You adapt with this game, and yeah, what do I say? It's a very nice game. I'm glad to have the experience to have played this game. You know, Planet Zoo was a rather amazing experience. I don't plan to play Planet Zoo on the channel. I'd rather prefer to play Planet Zoo on my own time, to have this nice peaceful time to myself where I just have little brainstorms of ideas of cool enclosures. You know, I have a small zoo from the playthrough that I've played, and even though it's small, it's still a really cool and very good working zoo. It's great. I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, that's number one. That's Planet Zoo. So that's it. That's all we have for the top 5 games of 2019. What games will 2020 have for the future? We'll have to find out. I have no idea. But I hope they are good. I am looking for the Digimon game that's supposedly going to come out. I hope it comes out. But yeah. Oh man. So now that we're done, as promised, as soon as I make this video, I'm going to try and make rapid fire uploads of Jurassic World. Maybe Man of Medan, you know. But yeah. So that's all I have for today. I'm Super Marcel. If you liked this video, click the like button, and if you want to see more, click the subscribe button. And I'm Super Marcel, and make sure you have a super time. Bye bye.